Totally digging the live things. Hey, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. Testing, testing. We are live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter, soon to be LinkedIn. We're waiting for approval. This is Sean Vittor with the Lights Camera Pro podcast, where we interview entertainment pros. And today, our special guest is Greg Legette. Did I say that correctly?
You
Greg
did,
Legette.
yes, sir.
I always want to say it correctly. Thanks for doing this, man. How are you?
Absolutely, I'm fantastic. How are you? Thanks for having me, man. This is so cool.
Yeah, it's very cool, and it's getting cooler because I've got this software Ecamm Live, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, which makes it really like a TV show. We can do multiple cameras, and let me just show you. I can like go to just you by yourself, or I can go back to our interview. I can go to me. We're going to show some clips of your composer. So we're going to show some clips of movies that you've worked on and other experiments that you've done and your timeline. It's going to be very, very cool interview.
Absolutely.
So I love doing this. This is so much fun. I have to unplug my iPhone so it doesn't come up on the screen. And here we go. We're going to run this short ad from Restream, and I'm going to talk for a second. It's like 12 seconds. Hold on. Hey, everybody. This is Restream. And this goes out to 30, 40 different channels rather than one at a time and copying and pasting stuff. It's very cool. They also have their own live studio. If you want or you're interested in something like that, you can go to the Facebook Live post you're watching right now, or YouTube or Twitter, and go down in the comments and see that I have a referral link to Restream, and you can go check Restream out. It's very, very cool. And also what I'm using is Ecamm Live right now, which is basically like a little television studio for the internet to do these lives. And you can do multiple cameras, and people shoot concerts. It's all kinds of crazy stuff. I love this product, and there's also a affiliate link in the Facebook and YouTube lives and all that stuff that you can click on, and I get a portion of the proceeds. So let's get started, Greg. We always ask people, like, when did you know you wanted to be a composer? When did you know that you wanted to create musical scores? Like, were you a
Oh,
kid? Were
wow.
you in high school? When did it happen?
It wasn't, I don't think it was a cut and dry. One day I decided to do it. I started out as a performer. I was a trombone player. I knew from a kid, from very, very early, that if you're passionate about music or anything similar to that, you've got the bug, from an early age. So I knew that I always wanted to be involved with music. It was just kind of how I was going to get there. I started out as a instrumentalist. I played trombone. I was a singer all through high school. Did the whole all-state thing. Out of high school, I went into military music as a performer. I played trombone for military music for the Navy band. Toured all over the world, just playing music all the time. I got out in 2013, and I think it wasn't until recently, probably maybe a year and a half to 2 years ago, that I finally said, okay, this is it. I want to just write music. This is kind of this is my end goal, is to sit down and write music and be the creator.
Very cool. And so once you decided to do that, this is kind of an interesting question. Like, how did you go about doing that? Can you study composition? Can you study music composition? Or did you have someone who's a
Absolutely.
mentor?
When you go into any military band, they have a school. There's an Armed Forces School of Music, and you do get, there's a whole course on music composition. There's theory. They teach ear training as well as ensembles you perform every day. And it's military, but you're still going to school for it. Outside of that, you have the theory, you have the learning how to compose, but you also have the technology that you have to learn as well. A lot of it I've just picked up by doing it. I went and I bought software, I bought equipment, and just started writing, just kind of taking all that stuff that I learned over the years and putting it all together, and it was a lot of doing it, messing it up, doing it again, making something that I thought was okay, but really wasn't, and then just, refining it from there.
Very cool. And do you prefer, is there a preference as far as film or commercials or television? What do you like to score most? Or do you like to just
Film.
score? Okay, film.
I prefer film. Since the whole COVID thing has kind of hit, I've gone and started really just writing for orchestra and making music that I can take and put in front of players. That's been a goal of mine for a while now. Scoring for film is always at the top of the list, but at the same time, I want to make sure that I'm able to take what I can do and put it, in front of orchestras or in front of bands and put it in front of people.
Very cool. Now, a lot of times I'm a video editor by trade, and I'm starting to do a lot more podcasting stuff. I was a video editor for 25 years. I was also an actor, did plays, short films. So a lot of us sort of second guess ourselves, creatives, and we want to be perfect. We're perfectionists, so we spend a lot of time. So the question is, a lot of times with projects, you have deadlines, and the only thing that really stops you from working on the project is the deadline, right?
Right.
Otherwise, you'd keep going and keep working on it. So was that hard for you? And how long did this take you to do? To score, what is it, 5 minutes? To score 5 minutes, how long is that? Is that a month? Is it a week?
I think it took me a month and a half,
Okay.
start to finish.
8 hours a day or?
Probably 4 to 5 hours a day.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean, I feel like kind of if you ever, if you sit down and you think there's nothing else I can do to this, there's nothing else I can change. I kind of have always felt if you get to that point, then it might be time to move on to something else. I don't think a creative, as any creative knows, you're never 100% satisfied. Even now you can go back and I can pick the whole thing apart and just, pick it apart and want to change this and that. It's just never ending. But that's kind of a part of it. I mean, you're always trying to find something, to improve upon and ways to get better.
Right. Okay. So this next one, all right, I hope this comes up, and I'm looking down. I'm actually looking at YouTube. I should be looking at Facebook. This is a Star Wars alert. Star Wars alert. For all the Star Wars people out there, we are going to watch something that has lightsabers right now. I'm kind of a geek. I saw it in 8th grade and love the movie, love all the movies, even the bad ones with Jar Jar Binks. But so this is, I read when I was watching it that this is not authorized. It's not for money, but it's like a Star Wars creation.
It is
from a
a
book or
fan
something?
film. It's
Fan film?
a
Okay.
100% fan film, right?
Okay. All right, so we're just going to watch a minute or two of it. Very cool. So you're once again look, you got a Star Wars mug.
Yeah.
You once again did the music, but not the sound effects. Is that a
Yes,
different person? Is that called like a Foley person or?
Yeah, that would be Foley.
Okay.
Foley sound designers. I actually did do some of the sound effects and help with some of the sound design. There is a little bit of Foley that I did in there. Stuff like little stuff like footsteps, a few clangs and stuff like that I added in. So it was myself and two other people that really kind of did the brunt of the audio. There was a editor and a mixer that kind of refined it after we handed it off.
And I saw actually something on Foley once, and you'd think that a lightsaber sound was made with some metal thing, but like a gunshot, a laser gunshot is made by stepping on a watermelon, like. So I'm curious what the lightsaber sound is made with. I don't know if you know, but.
The original I think was there was a TV, there was a tube TV. Okay. That I think and I'm not 100%. There was something involved. A TV was involved, and they actually had a boom mic or a shotgun mic that they would wave in front of a monitor, and that's how they would get the kind of the movement back and forth.
Very cool.
And it's I kind of geek out over over Foley and stuff like that, especially how they did it then. I mean, it's just incredible. Yeah. How they would put all these things together.
Very cool. So this is called, and I don't know if I have the whole. Let me see if I have the whole name here. It is called Blood Crystal, and it's a Star Wars fan film,
Hmm.
and it's called The Sith Manifesto. So Star Wars alert! Everybody, turn your sound on. Turn your sound on. We're going to once again show something that is being composed here by Greg. So turn your sound on so that you can listen to his composition for this piece. So here we go.
I'm so sorry, Theos. But don't do this. You can't win.
It's already done. Until we meet again, brother.
Cool, man. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about how you scored that scene. I was actually into it. I was like, hey, I'm going to watch this thing. Today, I only had 15 minutes to go through all your stuff. So I actually watched more of it now than I did this morning. But yeah, just you got the floor, man. Talk about how you composed this piece.
Sure. It was so the whole thing. It's in 3 episodes, and it was another. The director, Dark Hoffman, was the kind of the creator behind it. He kind of, I really had a lot of free range to kind of just do what I wanted to do. It's a combination of a lot of different stuff. I mean, obviously John Williams, anything Star Wars, you're gonna recognize the music. Star Wars when you hear it. So it was kind of a balancing act between keeping it, making sure it sounds like Star Wars,
Right.
but also making sure it sounds like an original, an original piece. So I tried to use a lot of the same instrumentation, and approached it the same way. But I really just kind of went along with what the story told. Dark did have, he had a couple of references and, different stuff that he kind of likes. So it's just this culmination of all of these elements getting put into place. And like I said, there's 3 different episodes. Each episode has it's a little bit different flavor. Episode 1 has a huge, space battle in it. And that's really, kind of more old school, sounding music. And then it moved on to more of a modern kind of take. So I really just kind of let the film kind of show me which, how to go about it and how to make it sound.
Very cool. So as far as I was just thinking about the next thing that we're going to show, this video game thing, so I lost my train of thought. But you had some direction from the director, but you kind of had fun with it. And we're gonna do this at the end. This is what I forgot. We're gonna do this at the end. But can they see these 3 shorts, the fan films somewhere? Are they at your website, or is there a link on your website?
There's a link to on my website. There's a link for it. It's also on YouTube. You can just get on and look it up, The Blood Crystal, and all 3 episodes will show up there, so you can go and see all 3 of them.
And all the other stuff we're seeing today, we're going to see the video game and then the 2 timeline pieces. That's all on your website, or is it all over?
It's on most of it's on my website.
Okay.
Yep. It's either on my website or on my Facebook page. I try to keep everything, consistent across the board.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I like the website, man. It looks good.
Thank you.
So we're just going to play this little minute long video game thing because I wanted to give people a different look. It's the NFS or whatever it's called. It's just like a video game that
Need for Speed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
So you made the music for that, right?
I did the music. I did. That was a project that I did. Oh my gosh, 3 or 4 years ago. That's all me. All of the sound effects, everything in there is
cool.
Is mine.
I like it. It's like kind of quick and crazy, and then you go into the brain and the body. So let's check it out. Once again, everybody, put your sound on. Let me see if I can do this. Let me just see something here, Greg. So if you want to talk about, I'm going to add this thing called Sound On. Put your sound on, please. And see if this comes up on the screen. Composer clip. Okay, so let's see if this comes up. There it is. All right, so I'm going to put this up and turn it off. Put your sound on, composer clip. Leave that up for a second, and here we go. We're just going to play it. It's number 7. Here we go. Very cool. Sorry, let me just fix this. Okay, save that. Turn it off. We got a couple more times to use that. So, is there anything else you want to say about that clip? I mean, obviously, dude, if you're doing that stuff, that's like every other commercial that's on TV right now. Video games and these competitive. I used to work at Turner, Warner Media, and they had the E-League there and all these video game leagues and Twitch.
Yeah.
Oh my God, everybody's into these video games. I used to be when I was younger.
I definitely was before, now I've got kids and, barely enough time to sit down anymore.
Right.
But yeah, that was God, like I said, that was almost 3 or 4 years ago. I had a blast doing that. All of the sound effects, all of the, it was a completely silent clip when I got it. And I added, all of the car sounds, all of the little sound effects and stuff. That was really a blast.
How do you add a car sound? Do you go out and record your car or something, or do you find the stuff on the internet?
Some of it I recorded. Some of it was they have libraries, just huge libraries of sound effects and all this other stuff. And you can get it and use it however you just drop it in. It's it's there. It's good to go. But the fun part is getting all these different sounds and combining them and changing the pitch or EQing them to make them sound weird and adding effects to them and stuff like that. That's where the creativity comes in, and it's just I geek out over that stuff. So it was I had a blast doing it.
Cool. So can you do everything that you do in your house in that room? Is that like your sound designer composer room?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yep. Everything is on the computer.
And you're in Atlanta?
I am. I'm in Metro Atlanta. I'm just probably 45 minutes north of downtown.
Okay,
so,
Sewanee.
Pretty close. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, just getting the geography because you used to be in Chicago. Did you move from Chicago or somewhere
I
else?
was in Chicago. We moved here in December, so we're still fresh. I'm originally from Georgia. We moved here from Michigan. Before Michigan, we were in Washington. Before that, in Chicago. So
Okay.
it's there's we've done a lot of traveling, which I mean most military guys do. You know,
Right.
that's kind of how it goes. Is
And
you know
when
you're
did you
bouncing all
end the
over the place.
military? Was that recently or 10 years ago?
That
Or?
was 2013. It was
Okay.
2013. So it's been a little while now, but you know, it's still once you do it, you've done it, and it's kind of ingrained in you.
Right.
So yeah,
And what is the software that you're using? You were saying Cubase or something? What is the software?
yeah, it's called Cubase. It's called Cubase. And it's like I mean, it's much similar to any other
Pro Tools
linear
or
editing software. Yeah, Pro Tools.
okay. But
I
is
mean,
it PC
there's
based, not Mac based?
either one.
Oh, it's both. Okay. All right.
Yeah, either way.
Do
Either
you know a
so.
guy named Reed Hall?
I believe I do.
Because he is in Atlanta. He works at Turner. He's still there. He's a composer, and I used to always go to his room and talk to him. He's a really great guy. He composes original music. He'll do sound design and mix stuff, but he composes original
Hmm.
music, and TCM uses them a lot, and
Hmm. Hmm.
I think Cartoon Network. But he would get some corporate stuff, but he would have a separate room that was glass with a drum kit and
Hmm.
guitars,
Hmm.
and musicians would come in. And one piece I know he had, I think he did it for the NBA. He had like a choir or something that came in,
Hmm.
and he recorded them. So it was very
Hmm.
cool. Good guy to know. Really nice guy. Super super talented, and would be interesting for you to look up because I think he lived in Atlanta his whole life. So
Hmm. Hmm.
being composer. And then there's just a bunch of other guys who are sound designers at Turner. I don't know about
Hmm.
composers, but a ton of sound designers. So you did this really cool thing. You took your timeline and you showed how you compose stuff. And I love
Hmm.
that because I love showing the viewers and myself how people do things. So a lot of
Hmm.
times in video editing, I would show a timeline, say, okay, the video's on top, the audio's on bottom, the sound effects are down here, the music is down here, and then you put effects and you can stack the effects.
Hmm.
So it's cool to visually see what you do, and it's hard to just show the monitor back there. So I'm
Hmm.
going to play a couple of those, and I'd love for you to talk about them. I'm going to start with Ethereal, and I like this. It's just very mellow and cool. It's like a
Hmm.
cool score. And before we go, remember that I want to ask you who your favorite composer is. And then at the end, I want to ask you advice you have for young people who want to get into music composition, compose their own stuff.
Sure.
So those will be the last two things that we do, but we'll show these two clips first. So this is called Ethereal. I'm going to do my little sound on thing again. Put your sound on, composer clip. Here we go, everybody. Put your sound on. The reason why we need your sound on is because Greg is a composer, and we're going to listen to something that he composed. So I'll turn that off now. Put your sound on, please. Here we go. This is Ethereal number 8. Very cool, man. I love that. It sounds great. Did you use that for something, or was that just something you were trying out? Or
That is so. I have three orchestral pieces that I've been working on. Really, just to have it's not for film. It's for It's for orchestra. Hopefully we'll be out by the end of summer. I have the I'm going to take that and put it into sheet music and make it a nice score for orchestras and for different ensembles, and put that out there. And that's kind of been my big thing, is making sure that I can take what I'm writing and not just keep it in the computer.
Right.
I want to get away from that. I want to be able to sit in front of people. So that's and what you see is it's basically computer programming. You're programming different instruments and different sampled instruments, different sounds to play what you want them to play and sound how you want them to sound.
Right.
So the big thing is taking that and moving it over to people,
to sheet music that they can read,
right,
and then play that live with an orchestra.
Right.
Very cool, man. Do you know John Adams, the composer?
John Adams?
Yeah. Oh, okay. Because I was in my 20s and I was working at San Francisco at the San Francisco Symphony, and I didn't realize we were selling subscriptions, and obviously to see Beethoven and Tchaikovsky and Brahms and all these people, but I was like, who's this guy John Adams? Like, is that John Quincy Adams? What's going on? It's like, no, he's the only living composer. I mean, some people would argue that Philip Glass is a composer, but at the time, I don't know if there's 20 other guys now, but at the time he was the only living one, and they had his production of Titanic, where he composed it. It's very modern sounding music. It's very industrial. It was kind of cool. It was different.
It is. It's very different. I mean, and it's such a weird job to be in. I feel like film music is a good kind of go between kind of classical, what you think of a classical orchestra, and modern, orchestras sound like. That's I'm trying to figure out how to kind of bridge the gap between those two, and it's a hard thing to do.
Yeah. And so, are you getting? This is hard to ask. Are you getting paying gigs for composing, or do you do composing as a job, or do you do sound mixing as a job? Like what?
Composing, yeah. Up until the COVID, this whole COVID craziness hit,
right.
It's freelance work, so you just kind of get gigs. I've done a lot of singing. I was writing music for a cartoon based out of France.
Okay.
I did 6 different episodes that haven't came out yet. Right now I've actually gone into doing video editing and doing a little bit of mixing for a local high school here. We were set to do a concert for May the 4th. That obviously, we had to cancel it. So this is kind of the next best, which was going to be a Star Wars themed show.
Oh, very cool.
We were gonna play the opening theme to The Blood Crystal, along with most of John Williams' score for Star Wars. So that kind of got put on hold.
And let me just ask you, Greg, would you ideally, like obviously, what would be the best case scenario for you? To be working in a studio at a music place and composing music for films? Would that be the most ideal thing, or?
That would probably be the most ideal thing. I have kind of a vision. Like I want to see, a studio set up where you could have orchestral scores recorded. You could have, these huge setups. Where you could do these huge film scores that you hear in Hollywood. And at Abbey Road. Abbey Road's, these legendary places. And Atlanta's, we're right in the middle of all of that. And I think there's enough going on in Atlanta. There's enough film in Atlanta to see, more.
Oh my God, so much film,
the music side. And since I started doing this, and I started learning about sampled instruments and VST instruments and all these computer sounds and stuff like that. And I want to bring that back to people. There's you can't replace, a room full of musicians with a computer.
Right.
You can get really close. It sounds great. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
There's some great things that are coming out, but you lose the heart, of the thing without having people involved. So
yeah, no,
my big goal is to, just get as much here as I can and to get as many people involved as possible. I need to have other people, around me, and I want to have other creatives that can come and contribute to them.
I think you learn from other people, and you share ideas and you grow. So it's great. It's great to have people around. But I go to the San Francisco Symphony regularly before COVID, and I went to see a night, which was a live band with the symphony playing David Bowie's music, and it was phenomenal. It just blew me away. It sounded so good, and he really sounded like David Bowie, the singer. He's a Canadian guy. Oh my God. I mean, the place was hopping, and it was like the symphony people were jumping up and down to Gene Gene and Blue Jean, and it was crazy. Yeah. But Danny Elfman, tell me about Danny Elfman. Is he someone that is looked upon
Danny
as
Elfman
super
is
talented?
So the first, I remember seeing Batman as a kid, score, and Danny Elfman, obviously wrote the score for that. And that was, I didn't know it at the time, but that, things were kind of clicking, in my head, even as a kid. And it's just that first, that big opening scene. And it just, even now, after Batman, I was a little bit later, Spider-Man, he wrote the score for Spider-Man.
Right.
And there's a song, I think it's called Farewell. Beautiful, beautiful song. Danny Elfman, he's got a really, really interesting kind of approach to, how he writes music. But there's a flute solo. And I remember I had on headphones. I think it was late at night or something like that. And I had on headphones, and I was listening to it, and you could hear the performer. She would take a breath. You could hear her take a breath, and you could hear and that was the first time I really noticed it. And it was on a Danny Elfman tune. So it's kind of, he's always kind of in the back of my head. But just hearing that was like, it kind of glued everything together.
Right.
And it's weird because you don't think that you're supposed to hear that. Like people, we feel like we're not supposed to hear stuff
that's
like
what
that.
you're
Like somebody
taught is
breathing
take
or
that
something.
out. Yeah.
Right. And it's so perfect. With the technology that we have, we can just go in and clip out, just cut out any sound that we don't want. But even little, you could hear somebody just barely shift a little bit or something like that. And it just kind of, it makes it warm. It makes it feel like, okay, these are people, I'm listening to something that's real.
Yeah,
right.
everything.
Right. And it's not to say that, you can still have people playing that, performing the same way, but we're cutting out some of that good stuff that you're not used to hearing anymore.
Right. And do you think he came from Oingo Boingo?
Yeah.
It's a dead man's party, the whole thing. And I feel like with Oingo Boingo and Tim Burton, it kind of, both of those things kind of influenced his scores. Like you can hear hints or essences of those two things. I don't know how to explain it in his scores.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what you get when you have, this is a whole nother realm when you talk about a composer that comes in and you're writing music around a film. You're moving with the film. You're moving with the story, because it's all about the story. It's all about telling a story.
Right. Even
if it's just an orchestral piece or if it's just a concert band or, anything, it's all, you're talking about a story. It has to move. So, you have a composer that writes specifically for, a film, and it tells the story along with the film. Like you should be able to listen to the music and still kind of know, okay, this is what's happening here. All right, this is what's happening there.
Right.
And you can feel where the film is going. Jurassic Park, I still turn into a little kid when I watch Jurassic Park. That's John Williams. Yeah. Okay. And it's you first see whichever the dinosaur is, the big long tall neck or whatever, and you hear that, just those two notes, ba da da, and it just brings it all together.
Yeah.
And that's the thing there. The music is written so well, and it fits every little detail so well. Plus, it's just really good music.
Right.
It's just fantastic.
No, but it
the
enhances the
orchestration
movie, and it enhances the tension.
Right.
When the T-Rex is coming, the whole thing, and they're getting chased in the car with Goldblum and all. I mean, it just heightens the sense of danger for sure. But let me ask you this.
Right.
This is something I've always wondered about, and it's a really, really geeky thing. How the hell did George Lucas get John Williams to do the first Star Wars movie? Like, you're talking about a full orchestra. They must have cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like, it's impossible. He had no budget. I know he didn't have a budget because Darth Vader's mask is made of plastic, like it's a ridiculous mask, and his little chest plate thing is so goofy.
Yeah. Well, I think that's what makes it what it is. That's why it was a success, because I
think he must have done it for scale or free or something. Yeah. I don't even know.
I'm not sure. I'm sure there's a story about it somewhere, but it's and there's videos and clips of the whole recording process, for the entire thing. I just did one of the pieces was the Imperial March that that I've been working on for the high school, and just it's incredible. It's incredible how and I always think if you just heard that back then, if you were like an orchestra guy, if you were really into classical music or something like that, and you just, listen to it, would you listen to it, or would it, would it be anything without Star Wars? It was just like a perfect storm. The whole thing was.
I remember we walked into Star Wars late. I was in 8th grade, and I walked in. It was dun 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 dun, dun, and you saw Darth Vader come in, and then the stormtroopers come in, and I started running out of the theater, and my dad grabbed me and made me sit down, because I was like, what is this? What is this? This is like a totally different world. I don't understand this at all.
Yeah.
And it kind of freaked me out. But it's that first scene when they come through the ship is so ominous and dark.
Yeah.
All right, so let's do this. We're going to do our sound on, because we could talk all day. It's the same thing with every guest. I could talk for hours. But put your sound on, everybody. We're going to show one more clip of a timeline that Greg has done. It's called Water Drop. Let me turn this off. Let's see, number 9. Yeah, that's very cool, man. The very first thing I thought of with that was that, oops, that's the wrong things. The very first thing I thought of with that is Disney. Like, I had this thought, like, oh, okay, this is very kiddish. I don't know if I like it. But then I was like, oh, this is like the score to Beauty and the Beast, or some Disney Pocahontas or something. They're walking through the woods or something. Did you have that feeling when you were putting it together? Or?
I didn't. Honestly, this one was just kind of me. It's something that I could enjoy sitting and playing, or I can enjoy, conducting, or something, that I would just enjoy listening to. And it really, it's another one of those things. I started out with, this really cool, it's in 5/4. So it kind of it's got a kind of waltzy feel to it, but it's also kind of got a weird timing. And I just thought it would be it just seems like something that would be fun to play and fun to, sit and be a part of, nothing, and it's not really based on anything really. It's just me, and the 3 pieces that I've been really working on, and that's probably a quarter of the entire piece. It's all been stuff, that I would like to sit down and I would play and I would, enjoy being a part of. So it's really just me.
Right.
So, and it's really been a blast.
Very cool. So let me ask you this. So obviously to jump to the San Francisco Symphony and be a conductor of that is very hard. And you kind of have to be an old man and have done it for 30 years or whatever, have lots of connections. But can you conduct like an ensemble of 5 people with a standing bass and like, I don't even know. That's just a question. Can you do that? Could you take this piece and play it live at the Sewanee Center and conduct it and bring your 5 pieces or your 10 pieces? I'm just curious.
Yeah, absolutely. That's kind of what, where I want to go with the music that I've been writing lately is going and putting it out in front of people and conducting it.
Right.
So that's the goal for all of this stuff that I've been, it's kind of like the quarantine set, it's just stuff that I've been sitting down writing just for the pure enjoyment of it, and just stuff that I would like to be a part of and stuff that I would like to play, or I would like to, just be there, just be in the room with, you know.
Right. Have someone else play it and listen to it live.
Yeah. And I really, it doesn't matter who it's, I just want to, kind of want to be a part of it and just be in the room, when it's played. So
cool. So before we get to advice, your favorite film composer, who is it?
That's such a tough question. There's so many good ones. Danny Elfman is definitely at the top of the list. Danny Elfman, Thomas Newman, and they're all guys that kind of they write kind of odd.
Thomas Newman, what is he? Is he Toy Story?
All Newman.
No.
So he wrote Finding Nemo. He did the score for that. Shawshank Redemption.
Okay.
Is one that I've always really gravitated towards. John Williams. I don't know if you knew this. He was an Air Force guy. He was an Air Force piano player. So he started in a military band, just like So
just like you. Wow.
He and John Williams he brought it to the screen. He brought that sound to the screen, and it's kind of moved along, since then. And now we've got Hans Zimmer,
right?
That's kind of doing his thing. So
is there anybody? Is there anybody who's kind of obscure that people don't know that? There's lots of films out there that you're just like, you saw a film and you're just like, wow, like these Christopher Nolan movies, like something Inception or something, where it was like, whoa, what was that score? It was amazing.
Yeah, I think that there's so many of them nowadays. There's so much cool stuff out there. There's so much talent out there. It's hard to even narrow anybody down these days if they're not, a big name like that. It seems like it's either, you're either all or nothing.
Okay, so advice. You kind of started on this at later in life. Is that true? Because you were in the military, and I mean, you were playing in a band, but you started composing later. So the question is, for people who are young, but also people who midlife might want to try this, what is your advice?
Well, it feels like it was later in life. It always feels like you always feel like you're behind. You always feel like you're a step behind. I don't think it matters what you do. I don't think there's a way that I could have done it any differently. You know what I mean? For anybody else, I mean, you have to just go and create. I mean, there are, when I started doing the video editing, you get on Google and you look something up, and I look up different little things about video editing and how to do different things, and I'm just bombarded by this plugin, by this library, this, And I feel like you have to still be able to go and create your own thing. You have to be original. You have to keep things original. Like it doesn't matter what you're doing as long as you're, just constantly creating and constantly making things. And also get involved with as many people as you can. It's so easy to just sit behind a computer and, just play with all these different things. And it's a wormhole, gear, software, it's a wormhole. And you can get lost very quickly. But when you go and you involve as many people as you can, find friends, find musicians, find performers, find other composers, see what they're doing, kind of use that to influence yourself and move yourself to your own things. But yeah, just keep making things, keep creating your own stuff, keep making your own sound. And it's like if you can't figure it out, make it. Make something. It doesn't matter what it is,
Yeah, and I think that's good advice. I think I've heard from a lot of people, don't just sit and wait. Like there was this one young kid who said, I really want to get into Turner, and I've applied for 10 months now, and I've heard nothing. And he said to him, listen, go somewhere else. Make stuff on your own. Make short films.
Right.
Compose music, whatever it is, just make stuff until you're ready to get there, because you will learn things and you'll make connections. And with actors, a big thing with actors is taking classes. I can't tell you how many actors said, hey, I met this guy in a class, and then I was in his short film, and then I was in his feature, and on and on and on. So just get out there, get out of your house, make stuff, volunteer to be on a film, volunteer to play some music in a band or on somebody's composition or whatever. Just get out there and make stuff. So Greg, this has been awesome, man. I know you got stuff to do. We said we'd try to be done by 3. We will. This has been really great, man. I love this format of playing your stuff and having people listen to it. And where can people find you if they want to hire you to do some scores or if they want to work with you?
Google me, man. Google. All you got to do is Google. I'm on Google. You can get to my website that way. Facebook. I have Facebook, LinkedIn. We're easy to find. If you're a filmmaker, definitely, look up, whoever you can find. You can always Google. There's always a composer looking for ways to make things. So, but yeah, just Google me.
Google you.
I'm there.
Awesome, man. Thanks, man. This has been so great. I'm so glad we did this, and it was great listening to all your stuff. I love it. And keep in touch and text me anytime. And like I said, in 4 to 6 weeks, this will be an audio podcast on Apple, Google, Spotify, all that good stuff.
Perfect. Awesome.
Cool, man. Thanks so much. Have a great day.
Thanks.
Take
you as
care,
well.
buddy. All right.